Hi, welcome to Sportsy Let's Talk Sports. Today we have somebody with us who is passionate about sports. Yes, like all of us. But he's persistent about sustainability and development of sports in Indian context with a global approach. Sports, business, and branding are the three words that excite him the most. Educated to be an engineer, trained to be a marketeer, and certified to be a football coach. He loves brands in sports and always on the lookout to understand more and more about the professional athletes. He represents some of the most talented young Indian football players. He has played competitive football and table tennis among the many sports during his college days and school days. Strong believer in number and the sports statistics, a completely moneyball guy. Founded Zlait Sports Management to continue his Indian football dream. The book he wrote by the same name. The book aims to take the readers on a fascinating journey of the sport of football through a diverse India and how the sports capture attention of millions of Indians in various regions. Today we have with us an engineer, a marketeer, and a weird sports guy, Nikhil Paramjit Sharma. Thank you for liking, thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing. But please do subscribe on our channel, Sportsy Says, and help us spread the word about Sportsy Let's Talk Sports. We go with the same handle, Sportsy Says, across all the social media platforms. Hi, Nikhil. Great to have you on Sportsy, where we talk about sports. And we are a bunch of all passionate people. And when the name Nikhil Paramjit Sharma comes to us, it is all about passion. Uh, it could be any sport, but I know the dream of football and football dream is something that is very, very, very close to you. So great to have you on the platform.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you, Sid. It's great to be here and talking to you. I'm glad that the name is associated with passion. I sometimes nowadays I do feel that passion diminishing a little bit. So it's good to kind of understand that it's still around.
No, but thing is, there are so many passionate people, but it is very tough to convert passion into profession and make it into career. And that's what the best part about your career, exciting journey, is passion to profession making into career.
Correct.
So I think
I'm
that
still work in progress, I'd say.
yeah, it's a WIP till
Yeah.
till the last breath is a WIP, right? It is never going to be finished work. So for the viewers, we have Nikhil Sharma with us. Is a passionate sports guy, and the only three things that he resonates very well is sports, business, and branding, and that's what his whole career is. An engineer by education, marketeer by choice, and a passionate sports guy who is working towards the sustainability and commercialization in sport, because finally at the end of the day, that's where the money can come, and the moment the money comes, the sports grows. So wonderful journey that we are going to listen to from Nikhil over next 30 minutes that we get. We have with us founder of Slate Sports Management, Nikhil. So Nikhil, my first question, I'm just shooting directly my first question. How can your journey be so exciting? Just a question.
I don't know if it's that exciting. It comes with a lot of that you have a lot of dreams, and as a young kid growing up, you want to do so much in sports. You know that you're not. I've played almost every sport that there is, and I have been average at every sport that I've played. But I've never stopped trying. So similarly, I always had a dream. I remember, I was working for Cavan Care. I was an area manager there. With some of my colleagues, I was driving back. Our office was in Thane, and we were driving back to Bombay. And somebody said, "Tu karna kya chahta hai?" So I said, "Hopefully, one day I want to be in sports management. That's the thing that I see myself in." And this is possibly 2007. And I told him that's the only thing I want to do, in my life, if you ask me. But of course, I'm an FMCG manager. I work, I'm an area sales manager at this point in time. So, just carry on, dream big. I see a lot of young boys and girls. I'm very sure our journeys have been very similar to a lot of sports. Is a business of passion. If you don't have that, then you're only doing mechanical work. And that's not very exciting. We can do other jobs. So yeah, it's just been a roller coaster. Enjoyed every bit of it. Learned a lot, and I don't know if it's that exciting. I do tell myself it's exciting.
No, but if see, obviously I've known you for last 4 or 5 years, and then followed your journey, and then obviously follow your social media and everything. That it is exciting, and it is unless life is exciting, you can't even be writing a book. So we'll come to that as well.
True.
But yeah, but when you said that you played a lot of sports, and you in 2007 while working at FMCG, you thought of you want to be in sports management.
Right.
What is sports for you, and why do you think that we have so many people who say I love sport, I like
Right.
sport and everything,
Yeah.
but they are clueless about what exactly sports means to them
Yes.
and why do they want to be there.
Right.
So what is that, what is sports, what does that sports means to you?
As a young kid, we all emulate our parents, our father. We see things happening on television. There are various reasons why you might want to follow sport, but ever since I was a young child, I played a lot of sport with my father. He
Hmm.
made sure he was a cricketer himself. He played for Punjab University with some of the more famed names in world cricket today, most of whom are his friends. So when I was younger, we do a lot of one-on-one sessions, and in fun. He was not coaching me to become a cricketer, but it's just a lot of knowledge that he had.
Yeah.
He was sharing with me. So he'd always get me nice bats, work on my technique things. So I grew up uh, playing cricket and every sport, and he was fairly similar. He would play table tennis, he would play badminton, he told me he even played football, and he had no idea about, he was standing in offside in some match. He scored 3 goals and people made him a referee as well. They thought he must be a really good player. So I heard stories from him, and narratives, stories. He spoke of all his friends and how they played cricket, and how his coach Desh Prem Azad, he spoke so glowingly of him, and that's how I grew up loving sport. We're from that generation of people
Correct.
who opened the paper, began from the last three pages.
Last pages,
We,
yes,
we
I
never
remember.
went and opened the paper samne wali side. We always went to the last page and saw. And in a lot of cases, we'd seen that game the day before, and we still wanted to see
Yes,
how somebody's written about it. What's the image that's come out? If there's a football World Cup, if there's something happening in cricket, Rishikesh Kanitkar has scored like that last ball or a four, and
yes.
you have an exam tomorrow, but you don't care. You are in that euphoria of India winning. Uh, and we played. Our parents back then were just, my mother especially was sick and tired of me playing Mon till night. Right? We would play. We would imagine ourselves. We would paint our bats. We would, our shoes and things like those. And but I knew I was not good enough. At some stage, you understand you've focused on studies, and you're not. Elite sport is a different animal altogether.
Correct.
While everybody aspires to be an elite athlete, the sacrifices that you need to make, a lot of us urban youth, as we've discussed a little time before, we struggle with that. It's
Correct.
something. It's not our only life. We have a lot of distractions. We have education. So I realized that's not something I will be able to do. And around that time, 2000, 2001, 99, you'd see Mark Mascarenhas, Sachin
Yeah.
Tendulkar. There'd be articles about how the deals were run, what Worldtel was doing, what's happening abroad. Players moving from one club to the other, and it's just we don't have the internet. We have only the paper, and
Paper is the-
anything that you can consume through a sports star or anywhere else, you're consuming it,
Correct.
and you dream about it. Maybe to children today or young people today, it's not that glorious, but for us, we were making castles in the air as to
Yeah.
how it seems, and it's so beautiful at that point in time. So I said, I want to do sports management. And then of course, you end up doing engineering instead. And and after that, I did my MBA in marketing. At least I knew that's where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
At an MBA school, FMCG is dream destination. That's where I went. But all along, I kept writing to a lot of people. I said I want to work in the English Premier League. I wrote to Leeds, told them I'm willing to be your retail sales manager and things, and most of them never replied. And some of them did, and that was encouraging. But that's a constant dream that
Yeah.
stayed with me. Um, so that's really about it. That's what I do feel nowadays is everybody. When you like sports, it doesn't necessarily mean you can be a sports management professional.
Correct.
because a lot of it has to deal with business. A lot of it has to deal with things that will make you hate sport.
Correct.
You will at certain point of time not enjoy being, because you're sometimes your decisions are the furthest away from sport.
Yeah.
You like an athlete, but he plays for your club, but times come to say, hang on, we cannot keep him, maybe for monetary reasons, or he's not performed. That part of sport you don't like, but you have to do it because you are in that position. So it's not that's a differentiation. That's what we learned through our journey, that that's a separate thing. But predominantly that love, and you want to see sport grow, more people play, you want to play, everybody around, that's where it stems from, all of it, the love for sports overall.
Yeah, and honest speaking, I think I was just listening to it, it felt like I was listening to my own story while you're talking about it. But yeah, it's like engineering happened, MBA happened. For me it was banking, not
Right.
FMCG. But
Right.
yeah, that is where. And but I asked myself this question while I was in the US, that do I want to be in management consulting forever? And
Right.
that's why I said no, right? That was the calling for sports, and it's like next 9 years have been where it is. So, but one really important thing that you said about while growing up is you're playing throughout, and your parents were at least your dad was encouraging. The mom was fed up, but dad was encouraging to play. And the biggest problem in currently in India, if you look at the world ratio, in Western world, the kid plays approximately 13 to 14 hours a week, where the Indian kid plays average 40 minutes a week, which is a
Wow.
disastrous number. And these are
Right.
numbers presented by UN and everywhere.
Right.
So I think the generation needs to look at that. Okay, let them play. अच्छे है नहीं है बाद में देख लेंगे. At least let them play, let them be on the ground.
True.
And probably that is one thing I just want to come to, that after all the sports management liking and loving and everything, uh, you got associated yourself very closely with football. And that is where the journey, exciting journey, is about football. Northeast United from inception, Shillong Lajong FC, one of the very exciting clubs. Then being the CEO of Anglian AMG, and then starting your own company, zlait. Through your eyes, through your lenses, how do you see the Indian football has grown over last 12, 13 years?
The simple answer would be, when I joined, I thought football, cricket was 1 to 100, and
Yeah,
every other sport began from 101.
yeah,
That's what my assessment was 10 years back. I would now say cricket is 1 to 10. And a lot of other sports are now 11, 12, 13,
right.
14. Depending on how you see things in terms of participation, football will be top 5 after that top 10, right? So you'd have badminton, you'd have, I think, while it's not a sport that's being played a lot on at the ground level, but pro kabaddi is seen a lot.
Yeah,
That
it is.
league really has taken off. You'd see a lot of people playing football. And football is a sport that was earlier pocket sport in India, which
Mhm.
means, Northeast pocket, Bengal pocket,
Yeah,
Kerala pocket, Maharashtra, Kolhapur pocket. These are pocket sports. But you'd see it springing a lot in metro towns now. A lot of schools play it. I mean, we come from Pune, so
yeah.
a lot of schools back, even 20 years back, football and hockey were the sports
Mm.
that people played.
The
Cricket was
bishops,
not
the
a sport
Loyolas,
that
and
was
yeah,
very popular in among schools.
yeah,
Now it is. Now almost every school plays cricket. But if you go back 20 years, our schools didn't play cricket. We
correct.
played football, hockey, badminton, a lot of other sports. So I don't, when you join the industry, you come with because we've seen World Cup happening, and everybody, now I've realized the World Cup is a distant dream. We are running fast, but the world's running faster.
Yeah,
Also, in a certain way, culture plays a huge role. So if Latin American countries don't have that kind of money, people don't. But culture is extremely strong. It's like our cricket.
yeah,
If you have a 10-year-old, 8-year-old, 12-year-old, all along, in smaller towns. Again, cricket, I think, is losing that top tier city charm, has been lost. So you'll see a
correct.
lot of people coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities, and they come with like real they're strong people,
Yeah,
when it comes. So the point being that football, I'd want to see a lot of young kids playing the sport, both boys and girls. From there on, an opportunity for them with clubs or with any kind of organization at the mid level, and a lot of clubs at the top end. Then that pyramid is complete, and then we can aspire for more. And you will have coaches, you'll have commercialization, media, broadcast, all those things that you and me know that is relatively easier to put into it. But that culture and organization of getting more and more kids to play is the tougher part of it. And
Right.
then, it's but it's grown massively. As I said, at that time I thought it was, there's no competition with cricket.
Yeah.
The It was such a big giant
Yeah.
that you'd stand like a dwarf any other sport in India.
Correct. And I think it's wrong also to compare with cricket. Cricket, the board federation has taken a phenomenal effort to grow from
Incredible.
where it was. Like it took 20 years. It's like what Messi says, right? It took me 16 years to become overnight success.
Yes.
Cricket, it took 20-25 years after
Yes.
83 World Cup to like 2003. Those 20 years were the massive work that has gone into cricket. So I think cricket is a benchmark, but shouldn't other sports shouldn't compare that
True.
cricket के वजह से हमारा खराब हो रहा है नहीं
I
आप
think
अपना
that's the
स्पोर्ट अच्छा
worst
करो.
statement anybody can make it. Any
But
sport,
yeah,
worked hard. There are lots of things that keep coming up. But if you look at how organized they are, the
yeah,
kind of money that's flowing into sport, and it's not that the money comes in and stays there. It percolates downwards.
yes,
The pyramid is really beautiful. There's so many academies. The pay and play model, the elite model it's really well done. For you to compete, you're fighting against culture, and it's very tough. And they've
correct,
done it in a very organized fashion with visionary leaders, a lot of them.
yes,
And any kind of sport, you should be happy with it. You should
correct,
never be upset that they've kind of taken your yes, the
yeah,
media reports more about them, but because we like to read more about
exactly,
the sport. So
yeah.
yes, I
It
agree with you.
it is like GEC store showing the Saas Bahu serials. That because people like to watch them.
They
There
do.
are
People watch
so
it, and we are upset because we don't like it.
exactly. So yeah, it's the same analogy probably there. So
Yes.
Nikhil, you worked obviously after FMCG and a stint with NDTV and all, like
I
Network
worked
18,
with
sorry.
Network 18.
Network 18, sorry, not NDTV, Network 18. After Network 18, you worked with a very good iLeague club, Shillong Lajong, handling phenomenal commercialization and the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
Then from the inception with
Northeast.
Northeast United. So one was iLeague, one was ISL. And for longest time, we've been hearing the issues between iLeague and ISL. I don't want to discuss those, but what do you see that something between the cultural shift between iLeague to ISL that happened and actually has helped Indian football and probably the growth, the visibility that got started getting because of
Right.
ISL.
Right.
How do you see that?
See, ISL is a very good media product. One
Yes.
has to kind of take into cognizance the amount of work that's gone into marketing and the media value of that product. The second one, and I say that quite often, is that the the value that they've put into organization is incredible.
Right.
Simple comparison would be match day organization. The amount of work, the match day organization of an ISL club truly feels world class.
Right.
Or an ISL match. The one spot where I think the I-League clubs weren't focusing a lot was that match day organization, that experience for fans. Of course, this year
Yeah. This is a
hasn't
different
been
year.
an
Yeah.
aberration. But overall, when you went to watch an ISL match in places which have had a lot of audiences, it was very well organized
Yeah.
in terms of the look and feel, in terms of where you're going in. By and large, the production value of it, as we would say in our jargon, is maybe 10 times more. the then of course there are lots and lots of other professional things that were streamlined, your payments, your organization of looking after players, the players looking after themselves, the professionalism of not just on the pitch but off the pitch that it's brought in.
Yes.
I remember starkly 7-8 years back, your off seasons would be really off seasons.
Yeah.
You'd possibly be, a player would be doing anything that he wants, and we'd say, oh, this is 2 months off.
Right.
Today, a player comes back home after an ISL season, and if he has a contract with the club, his schedule is there post 15 days.
Correct.
He has to start working. Unfortunately, our calendar is still a little bit, not the most favorable for players because they have a 4-month break, 5-month break. That break is way too much for a player who needs to play actively. It's not that you can train as much, but matches is something that you can never replicate. That match with that same intensity is very tough. But by and large, I think organization is what there's a huge difference. Players, I think what iLeague has now become they become a player farm. A lot of young players coming up can get opportunity to play there because from the sustainability point of view, that's how iLeague clubs are shaping up. They're not spending a lot of money into paying players. They'd much rather bring those players up. So you'd see a lot of young talent sprouting up there, and they get game time. Which ISL is a more established league. There's a lot of stakes on it, and so it's tougher for younger. You see a lot of young players playing, but you need seasoned professionals to be winning those leagues, etc. So both in their own different way have worked for the system, and I'm looking forward to a more robust, organized structure.
Yeah, I think it's a pyramid that can be created. I think that is more important. A tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, and I think that is what everybody is looking forward to. It's but yeah, I think this year, even though it was inside the bubble, the ISL matches went well. Because again, the Goa stadiums are also kind of meant for football, so you are more closer to the game.
Yes.
So coming from taking this point forward to the area which you do a lot of work, which is sports infrastructure.
Yes.
Which is one of your core competencies. You're like, okay, who is the expert? Let's talk to Nikhil. Honestly speaking, I've heard it from so many people. I have known it personally, but I've heard from so many people. It's about
really nice.
It's building the amazing turf for Reliance during the AMG days. From there to zlait, and you're doing some amazing grounds in Bhutan and those kind of scenic places where firstly people want to go as a tourist, and you're building grounds there. So so we always talk about having lack of infrastructure, but personally I feel there's a lack of application of infrastructure is a bigger issue than having infrastructure.
Right. True.
So how do you look at sport infrastructure in India, and what do you think that is can be done to make sport more accessible for people having with a decent infrastructure? You don't need a world class every time, but a decent infrastructure.
100%. Look, let me be honest about it. Infrastructure is very important, but is it the only thing that stops development? No, it's not. You're absolutely right. Infrastructure has to become more accessible. You can build all the stadiums in the world, and that will still not help talent grow. 3, the way I look at infrastructure is we're working in an ecosystem where we want more and more people to play. If you want more and more people to play, you just got to have good basic facilities for them. Stadiums to me sometimes become white elephants. You build them, they're huge, you've got to maintain them, a lot of money is invested into it. Instead, I would say, for a sport that's not cricket, wherein we have some of the best stadiums in the world, and yet you'll only have one test match or one match overall, international match. You can have local matches here. So our focus has been, because we work extensively in football, our networks, people that we know are such that that we are always talking about developing facilities that players can use at all levels. So that's why everybody talks to us. Our focus is very player focused, which is different from a lot of other infrastructure companies whose focus is very infrastructure focused. For example, their focus will be, let's build a turf. We think of it, who will be the end user? Where is it built? How will the water flow? If the water stays, the game will not be great. We think of it in a slightly different fashion. When we go and we know who we are talking to. For example, if you're talking to Reliance and Reliance Foundation, they want the best of the best of the best. They don't want anything which would be average for their athletes, right? So that facility will have a Brock pad under it. So when we talk to people, we try and understand what is the end consumer want. A lot of times we are unable to close projects because lack of money, which people say, let's put something which is not expensive. I'm not saying put something expensive, but let's put something which is value for money, and also people can use it. Somebody who's playing should not have shin splints, should not have knee injuries, quads, ankles. We see that a lot because there's concrete.
Correct.
a very thin turf rolled over it, and people running with studs.
Yeah.
Can we educate players to play with turf shoes? Yes, we can, but not all of them have 3, 4 shoes. They're young boys and girls who want to play. So we try and move in that direction. And thankfully, we've been lucky enough to get some good partners, to get good people. So working with them has brought a lot of joy. To me, it almost seems like working in the industry, sports industry per se. So if it's football, making great pitches is a great way of getting a lot and lot of people to play. My view would be a mixture of, so even most of the work that I do, Sid, is more private, people building
Yes.
up private facilities, wherein you can go pay and play. Now pay and play might not be accessible to a lot of people, but in a lot of places this is not expensive. The hourly rate would be say $100 a person.
Yeah.
Now I understand there would be a lot of young boys and girls who cannot afford that. I wish there could be, so facilities which are pay and play are not used all day long. They're used in the morning, they're used in the evenings by people who pay for 6. But what we try and build is build in tournaments. We advise, we consult a 360-degree approach to say you should have tournaments for young kids, for elders, 4 to 6, and in the morning you could have academies running, which could have a little bit of fees, and you can have young kids come and play.
Right.
So accessibility is very important. We have a lot of facilities which are closed. People are spending money. There could be good public-private partnerships to have people play. I'm trying to reach out to a lot of local authorities and telling them, why don't we partner?
Yeah.
You have great places in parks, etc., which are currently just idle, or people are playing in not so great conditions. I will build a nice turf on it. It can be used for free through the day between 6 and 10, or maybe 7 and 9 in the morning. Give it to me for commercialization. I put lights, people will play, so I will recover my cost, and yet people can play in it. So these public private partnerships, if people can be more open about it, is the way to open spaces for people to come and play.
I think pretty interesting thought, and I think it's a more doable thought as well. The only thing is people just have to just open their mind and understand how do I use the best out of the facility, and if I have to use, if the turf has to be used for say 8 to 10 hours a day, then I need a little better quality of turf, and I can't just put a mat, green color mat
we
there.
had we had Chip, and I think you would have.
Yeah,
He used to. I used to keep telling him, Chip. In India, he's from San Francisco, USA. So I kept telling him, Chip. It's people don't want to spend so much of money. They don't have that kind of money. So he'd say, we are too poor to spend money twice, which was such an interesting thing, which kind of changed my view. He said, if you've got to make the payment again after 3 years, which happens if you put not so great quality Chinese or Asian turfs, not so great quality. I'm saying everybody makes great quality as well. Then you've got to spend again every 2, 3, 4 years, which is not wise.
Yes.
So yeah, we need to give good options to whoever's playing. It's important. Unfortunately, it's not there, but I hope we can change that around.
Yeah. So, Nikhil, on the same point that we see one side, we talk about the lack of infrastructure or accessibility, and Northeast has been like a factory for Indian football. Like if you take every professional club, probably 40%, 30%, 40% must be from Northeast.
Right.
Just a number. And at the same time, we feel that Northeast lack infrastructure, but there's a really good infrastructure at multiple places that kids are playing. I've seen turfs, 11-a-side turfs in most of the places in Northeast, where we don't even get to see 11-a-side turf in Pune.
Yes.
So those things are happening. So how do you see what is the mindset of the kids growing up in Northeast that actually makes them that really good footballer, and or not the mindset? What is different about that?
There are multiple reasons. Reason number one would be very simple. My father taught me cricket. Mostly your first coaches are your parents.
Correct.
We don't have enough tactical knowledge. Tactical is a different thing. Technical knowledge about football growing up. We didn't have any formal coaches till we reached a certain age. So your father can tell you basic things.
Yeah.
He can tell you hit it from the side foot, etc., etc. That knowledge is there in Northeast parents. So most likely the chances that your father's already played or your mother's already played. Yeah. So that information is passed on. There's culture of it's not the most richest places around. So buying equipment is not easy. There's a culture of football, so any young kid just joins in. He doesn't have to have a football. it doesn't require extensive spaces, right? And I look at it, think of any small town like Raipur is not small, but look at Ranchi or anywhere else. Every nook and corner you would have people playing cricket.
Correct.
Any I back in the days you had Shivaji Park, and that's Bombay, and there'd be like 10 pitches sideways, and there's one pitch running through in the middle.
Yeah.
Similar things you would find in the Northeast. People are just playing a lot of sport. When you play the sport so much, it's like, Brazil in a certain way. A lot of young kids coming through just playing the sport. They find their own solutions. Why are we so good on the onside? Because that's all we've done, playing, rubber ball cricket through the ages. Just hit the ball through the line on the onside, hand-eye coordination. Similarly, they grow up. They don't have distractions. Very few distractions. They don't grow. They don't have places to go out. They don't have food that they're eating outside. They don't have the money or the luxury to do so. So football's their only way out of misery. A lot of them are very strong-willed, and of course, there are clubs there. The infrastructure, the government understands that it's very important that we have people play. There's open spaces in Pune or Delhi today. Open spaces are very tough to find.
Right.
Somebody will make it a Shadi Ka hall, they'll build a building there, right? So either of those things, or there'll be a restaurant, or any prime property here will be covered. It will not be a playing ground. There you have a lot of space, play wherever you want to go and play. And overall the air is healthier because of the food that they eat, which some of them also eat a lot of fatty foods, etc. But overall their food is very lean. It's nice. They walk a lot.
Yeah.
They don't hop onto AC cars every now and then. So the entire ecosystem in a certain way aids their development. But that's to say, a lot of different places have a lot of different faida. So Punjab, you'd see a lot of young tall players.
Correct.
Because of their
Strong, but
genes, they're
different.
very
Yeah.
strong. The kind of food that they eat. Kerala, you'd see a lot of nifty players. I'm giving it's a very generalized statement, but that's
Those are the pockets that we always talk about, right? The Indian football pockets
you have to go and see the younger players in Bengal. The kind of zeal that they come out with, that kind of aggression in a 14-year-old, 13-year-old, you will never see. But they believe if I don't go through this system, then I'm going to, lurk around in some corner, be nothing. That kind of passion is very tough to kind of develop. And sports is all about that. It's the hunger that you have.
Exactly, and so well said. And now, just taking again a small thread from this is in zlait, you also manage a lot of footballers,
Yes.
like the athletes, young athletes, specifically young athletes.
Yes.
So, what do you think as what is an athlete manager, and what is the role that you play in their journey?
Yes. No, I think I do question myself why we athlete managers a lot of times. We can focus on our infrastructure bit of it, and that's rewarding enough. But I think the most important thing I say is, in sports, the most important people are sports people. Unfortunately, at a lot of times they're not the best treated around. Our work, and people say they're professionals, but you and me know everything in the world is supposed to be professional, but how professional are things? They're not. We're human beings with emotions, with passion, with a whole host of things that affect what we do. So in that case, our focus is to work with athletes who we feel have potential. Look, if you don't have potential, you don't have the zeal, you don't have the right attitude, you're not going anywhere. If you keep crying, you think you're a prima donna, you don't want to work hard, you want to sit and be lazy and count your money, then we're not the guys to work with you, right? We're not. I don't peddle athletes. A lot of sometimes it's just a function of transaction. We're not a transaction based company. Of course we work on your contracts, we work on a lot of things, but we also want to make sure half of our time goes into managing their confidences.
Yes.
In football, you have 11 players playing. There's a squad of 25. A lot of players are perennially not playing. They have doubts. Their minds are at war. They start doubting themselves.
Yes.
And that's where we work a lot with them. We've had players who've not played a lot of football for 3 years and now are on the national team. We've never doubted their talent because, and some of them are very confident themselves, but we keep working with them through and through. Then we also manage everything of, they have families to take care of. they have, other issues. We also manage their investments. For example, a young player coming through, we just build a turf for him. There's another one from UP. We're trying to, see if we could manage. He has a lot of land. What can be done for him to kind of monetize that space? So maybe organic farming. These are business ideas that we're bringing for them to kind of say, well, you're an athlete, but what can you do other than that as well? So a whole host of services is what you should give. uh, Unfortunately or fortunately, we don't, that the time invested versus what you get in return might not be great,
Yeah.
especially in Indian football. But I think our focus is to work with those athletes. It's adding value to somebody's life and careers.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it is also the satisfaction of doing something good, because that is where you're going to keep those people happy. And it is like Rahul Dravid has said, right? I think making an athlete employable beyond a playing career is one of the biggest issue in India.
Incredible. Yeah,
Yeah,
incredibly tough.
yeah, and that is what, if you're talking about do some small course, get it, like do something which is going to help you in your career, or as you said, that they have the land. How can you use that land towards building a business for them, or making them, like, it's a retirement plan, because retirement is going to come at the age of 30, 35. It's not going to come at the age of 45.
And you never know, it might come at 24. You might suffer
Exactly.
the most serious injury.
Exactly.
You wouldn't believe it, but a lot of athletes that we work with, somebody's 10th pass, 12th pass, few of them would have done graduation. We are always encouraging, don't worry, now you're going home 4 months, why don't you give your first year exams?
Yeah.
Why don't you give your second year exams? And they're like, sir, we are already professional players. I said, doesn't matter, your mind will open up. So you have to educate them, saying that once you get educated, your mind opens up to so much more that will also help you on the pitch, and after you finish, it might help you as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of athlete, like lot of athletes from South are pretty well educated. Like,
Well
I was
educated.
talking to Sharad, and Sharad said that one of the best thing happen because of education to an athlete is you have a decision making capacity and stick to a decision that you get because of education.
True.
And so I think those are the things. Nikhil, obviously there are multiple aspects that I can talk about, but I just want to talk about the book that you wrote,
Right.
the Indian dream, right? Dream of football.
Yeah.
So, what inspired you to do that? Come up with a book. It did pretty well, but what inspired you to do that?
Actually, I had no idea. I never wanted to write a book. I'm not an author. Uh, Shantanu, my co-author, had written a couple of books, and we met briefly at an event. And he said, "I'd like to understand more. Why don't we meet for half an hour?" That meeting went on for 4 hours. One of the ideas that came out is, you know so much, why don't you write about? I said, look, I can know a lot, but that doesn't mean I'm a writer. I'm not. He said, look, conclusively, not a lot of books have been written about it. Why don't we write it? It's good to record. And I didn't like the idea. I said, I'm a professional. I'm not a writer. I can't write. And but eventually he kind of persuaded me. He'd written 3-4 books. He had a good publisher, which is very tough
Yeah.
in today's day and age. So everything was good. We wrote that book. um, and then that, when I started off, I would write 200 words a day, and by the end of it, cancel all of them.
Mhm.
By the end of it, I possibly was even writing 1,000 words a day, and everything, seemed, I kept most of it. We had good set of professionals working, so it was actually by accident, Sid. It was never intended.
Yeah.
But once I grew into it, I kept writing. We had some people to research for us as well, good people, and it did well. We I was very happy by the end of it to have written that book. Not 100% satisfied. I wish, if I was more established, I
That
had
that
writing.
that gets an author in you now. Now you're talking like an author. I'm not 100% satisfied, but I think the
I'm
end.
not. I mean, honestly speaking, I wish it could have been better.
Yeah.
But I think it was, the editors that did a great job. The publishers did a great job. I wish our work would have been, the bar is high.
Yeah.
If I was a writer, or naturally a writer, I think we could have done even better.
Yeah, yeah, and
No complaint.
but it's a teamwork, right? Again, it's not one person's job; it's a teamwork
True.
that you get into. And Sage has been a great publisher for so many books.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how the other publishers are, because I have only one book, but very good set of people.
Yeah,
Very,
but
very good.
writing India's football dream is something with really set the benchmark. Okay, I think you should read about like everybody should. I tell my all my MBA students that I think you should go and read this book. I think there's the information that you get from a lenses of a person who has been working. So that is something very important. So
Did I
on
was
this,
seeing
yeah.
this Tamil movie yesterday about Deccan Air,
Hmm.
and to a lot of young kids, it will not make sense that in early 2000s, flying was such a huge deal,
Yeah,
right? A lot of young people just don't understand what flying meant. Today, you can go anywhere, pick up a flying ticket, and fly,
yeah,
but we had not flown for a long period of time. Similarly, today you might think football's down in the dumps or wherever it is, but 50 years back, it was not the case. India were competing on even keel with a lot of people. So
yeah.
sometimes it's good to revisit and say, "Oh wow, we were this good,"
Correct.
and how we kind of working that. How did football move in India?
Yeah.
Uh, so all of that, it's a fascinating read that way to understand what happened earlier.
Yeah, I'm sure, and that is really fascinating, and I've read it, so that's why I said I make sure that my students have to go through that during the all the MBA students doing sports
That's really
management.
nice of you.
Yeah, so I have last okay, I'll say second last question. So the whole topic is say how sports like let's aim sports, like aspire, inspire, and motivate.
Right.
What do these three words mean to you from making a career as a sports professional, sports management professional, not an
Management
athlete?
profession. Right. Give me the words again. I
Aspire, inspire, and motivate. Let's aim sport.
Right. So look, for anything that you do in life, you've got to you need to have some aspiration. If you don't have any dream, you don't have anywhere to go, then you're not going anywhere. You'll be where you are. You're sitting. So if somebody wants to be a sports management professional, and there are a lot of dreamy eyed young children today in the world, in India, everywhere else, and young people there as well. So you've got to look forward to what do you want to do. Do you want to
Mhm.
help athletes? Do you want to build infrastructure? I mean, I can think
Yeah,
of only areas that we've worked in. So I can only think of those things to say, uh, where do I want, what do I want to do in life?
right.
What is that goal that I have? Is that goal only for myself? Let me earn money. Then you can earn money like
Yeah,
hundreds of millions of ways. And then you'll have a little bit of a limitation of what you do, because everything that you do is money focused.
correct.
Or your focus is, I want to get lots and lots of kids to play. I want to build facilities that I can play myself. Or I want to work with athletes who, when they grow,
Hmm.
you feel the euphoria within.
Yeah,
Some of them don't grow, and then part of you dies there as well. So you need to have that aspiration of where you want to go. That's the only way sports and life can push forward. Everything that you
correct.
do in sports is very linked to life overall. And when life, I don't mean careers and I don't mean money, overall, how your life goes.
Yeah,
Inspire is when every time I see somebody doing things new in a better fashion, in something that you can learn from, it's inspiration. Now you've done 50 episodes of your show. Incredible. It seems easy, 50 episodes, but for 50 episodes a person has to devote, say, 1 hour of your time speaking, and
yeah,
maybe a couple of hours and more than that to prepare,
yes,
and a couple of hours and more than that to talk to people, to say, will you be willing to come? I will send you an email. So all of that, and that truly inspires me. A lot of people do great job in just that organization. I was speaking to a very young boy a few days back, and he's doing a podcast, and I was so impressed by how organized he was.
hmm,
Now that's just a certain part of his life where he's very organized.
yeah,
Had his setup, had his cameras, had a room, the studio, and I was very inspired by it. That they really know what. He's 1920.
yeah,
1920. You and me, we don't know where we'll
yeah.
be running around thinking of,
Seriously,
what is to be done, what food can we eat, things like those. So that kind of focus wasn't there. So inspiration can come from anywhere as long as you're looking. You have your ears, eyes open. We were told by bosses that keep your eyes and ears open.
yes,
Always do that. Make Be genuine about sports. You're in this field. If you are or you're not there yet, there's the one reason is good. You want genuinely good to happen.
right,
Now it doesn't go your way all times, but focus on it, and your act should kind of should take the envelope forward, or at least attempt to. Sometimes it might not. And then of course, uh, motivation can be extrinsic and intrinsic.
Mhm.
I can do a lot of things because I want to do. Now that could be motivating to a few people. I can, or you can actively, like you teach. Teaching is such a, when you go out there, you can motivate so many people to do
Yeah.
better than what they're doing today. Of course, only two, three, four of them will actually take that leap of faith, go better than what they are. But that's a huge change in
Yeah.
things. In sports, overall, my belief is that uh, there's few things in life that are very pure as sports is. It's very meditative. Even if you're in the business side of things, you cannot be untrue to that meditative experience.
Yes. Correct.
uh, if you are working with sports people, he has to be that pure sense when he goes onto the field. He can't be thinking about money and a lot of other things when he goes onto that pitch all the time. Then you're clouding his thought. And similarly for a lot of other people, we make a turf our focus. We make a focus on any sports ground is people play, people get better. I can do a bad job some days, which I don't want to, but it can happen. Things
Yeah.
happen, but you've got to always go out with the right intention of doing the right things. And then if things work, brilliant. If they don't, you've got to, any sportsman has to dust himself and move ahead. You
Yeah.
cannot keep thinking about things. So long answer to a fairly simple thing, but I,
No, but I think that is what it is, right? It is you can't be talking about aspiration, inspiration, and motivation without giving the right meaning to it. And I think
right.
that is what we got, because at the end of the day, a lot of viewers are the kids.
Yeah.
A lot of viewers are the MBA sports management, the people who want to make career in sports.
Yeah.
At the same time, a lot of viewers are the parents who are confused whether how their kids' career is going to be as an athlete or as a sports manager.
True. True.
So just on the closing line, what is that one thing that you feel that if you get a wand, magic wand, what change that you will make for Indian sport to making it to a sporting nation?
Oh my god, that's I don't think even the thing with sports is magic doesn't help.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that there's no one thing that you can put as an ingredient and sports will develop. If you ask me one single thing, that I think it's culture. But culture is so many things.
Yeah,
You can't just build it overnight.
yeah,
You look around the world, we are such a different country. Every 200 kilometers our language change, the way people look, how they talk, how they behave, it changes. You can never have a single answer for the entire country. I just have more and more people play. I wish more and more people just go out and play a lot. uh, it's that culture again is tough. But if I had actually had, yes, India, let's build. So I'd want just kids to play a lot of sport. Then everything else will take care of them, of itself. Coaches themselves will identify. There are lots of coaches, a lot of kids who want to play. They will do their badges, they will coach them. Information is so much readily available. We didn't
yeah,
have internet.
correct.
Today's day and age, I want to run a session or anything of that sort, all I need to do is see. A lot of people are doing it. You can watch it. I have ideas. I can talk to people. There's so much that can be done today, but the focus still has to be. I wish that 40 minutes, it it broke my heart when you said that kids are only playing 40 minutes. I didn't
Yeah,
know of
that's a,
that.
that's a, that's a fact. That's a written fact
Yeah, so I just
for
want
this.
them to play much more. Just go out on the streets and play it. But streets are not safe. The way
Yes,
we have cars all over, we have bikes all over. So I wish that we played a lot on streets. I'm sure you did as
yeah,
well.
yes, yes, yes.
Nobody would be allowed to enter those streets. They
Get,
go from
getting
somewhere else. They had to take longer routes, but those
correct.
streets were meant for our playing. That's not the right thing, but I wish more and more kids play.
Yeah,
So that's one thing that I would always want: people playing. Uh, and then we'd have a lot of work as well,
yeah.
because people are playing. We can get organized and do a lot more with the sport. So that's
Yeah.
it. Wands, I don't know. Magic wands don't help in this
Uh,
case. I
yeah,
wish.
and yeah, it is just the way it is.
Wishful.
Like we want people wishful thinking, right? So not magic wand, it's a wishful thinking.
Yeah.
And a last one again, one word answer if you can give me beyond passion. What is one quality that takes a sports manager ahead in his career?
I would. I mean, organization. You have to be
Mhm.
very organized. I'll take a couple of more words. Look for solutions. A lot of people keep crying and cribbing about things. Look for solutions.
Yeah.
Be organized. Be persuasive. There is nothing as good as determination in a human being.
Hmm.
If you think, if you are very passionate about something and you think the idea is good, you have to have a rationale. Don't have mad ideas and keep
Yeah.
pursuing them, but try on, be persuasive, keep going at it, be bullheaded about things. It takes some time.
Excellent. I think this sums up the whole exciting journey. The question I asked you first, I think it sums up the whole thing. But at the end, and that is what if I'm not wrong, that is what I heard from you, being about how you have shaped your journey beyond
I do.
passionate about being a hustler, being persevering, having a solution to it, and not creating about problems.
Yeah.
I think that is wonderful talking to Nikhil. I think this chat with you can go into multiple episodes in one season, but I think with the time we can
No, you will not have as many viewers. I wish, I give longer answers, so it's not that great. But thank you so much, Sid, for having me over. I loved my chat with you.
no, wonderful and really fun talking to you, and looking forward to connect again.
Absolutely. All the very best.
Thank you. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you for liking, thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing. But please do subscribe on our channel Sportsy Says and help us spread the word about Sportsy. Let's talk sports.